Thank you, Mr. Karahanis, and congratulations to another Athens calls Athens. I think the previous speaker that have put in a line a serious number of very important topics for the future of mankind. I will try to give a summary of the most important problems we have to face in the following years. Mankind is in a very critical path. Let's hope, I hope my slides are changing. If there is a problem, just let me know. We're talking about some critical facts here, like the rise in Earth's population, the worldwide energy demands, the worldwide water consumption increase, and the food production in Earth as it is. We're going to give now, as they are presented already in several conferences and journals, some of the most bright ideas for solving, let's say, or giving answers to some of these problems, like new water hydrogen cycles, co-production of hydrogen and water, renewable resources increment, new greeneries, proteins from worms and insects, ocean crops, algae production, and finally geoengineering if something goes wrong. Now, we are at about 10 and we are going to become, we're going to become, let's say, the proposals say 10 billion people on this planet at around 2100 AD. Currently, we are at 7.7, and if the projected rise is valid, we will reach 10 or a bit more according to some other mathematics, let's say 12 or 13 billion by 2100. And there are some models there in play, the urbanization, as it was already presented here today, and the inclination of humanity when it reaches a better life level to produce less children, like we see now in China. So yes, we are going to be around 10 to 15 billion by the end of this century on Earth. Also, we are going to be using much more energy. We are at about 10,000 equivalent millions of tons, that's oil times 112 tons of oil per year. And it's going to reach by 2100, 25,000, or to put it in million barrels per day, 300 million barrels per day are going to be needed if found. Nobody says they're going to be there from our resources. A little less in coal and gas and oil. So we're talking about doubling almost the energy demands of mankind in this century. And this is very, very important as a fact. You see what happens now with the war in Ukraine, a simple missing pawn of the chess game of energy. Russia is there for Europe. It doesn't exist anymore, and you see all the crisis. Imagine if we double the demand for energy for all mankind, what's going to happen? Now, the water consumption at the time of this point, we are talking about 400,000 cubic feet per day, and it's going to rise also to a double to 700,000 to 800,000 cubic feet per day. By 72% of all this water withdrawal of the fresh water of the earth now is being used by agriculture. Only 16% is used by municipalities and industry. So imagine that our fresh water, as we now speak, is being used by 2/3 to produce food. And this is also going to become scarce in the following years. We have lost 85% of our wetlands and Amazon due to fires and exploitation like wood and so on and so on. It is anticipated, it is projected that by 2050, more than 5 billion, half of the Earth's population, is going to be in water-stressed areas. Food production, there we are also going to have an issue. 1/3 of the global food industry or system for the food production is now the biggest contribution in the climate change. Humanity is possibly going to be needing 80% more food by 2100. And agriculture and cattle herding is the primary driver for deforestation, habitat loss, and biodiversity loss. And these are the results from very, very recent studies. As we speak nowadays, we are in the Anthropocene period of the Earth. The mammals account for 36% of the lively stock, let's say, distribution, the weight of the living things, whereas livestock is 60%. The birds are 70%, 30% wild, 70% poultry for food, and only 4% of the wild animals account now for the weight of living things. You see, we have conquered the earth with ourselves and our food production, our protein production, because meat is our protein. How are we going to find more of that? Now, there are no plentiful solutions, there are no bright ideas, but we are considering here a 4-factor crisis: energy, food, water, and population. And there is not much to do for population, so we're not going to discuss it unless we go into beautiful ideas like Arthur Clarke's movies and books about colonizing the near space and planets and satellites, which probably belongs to the next thousands of years for the Earth's population. That is, if we survive this century, because I am really thinking about studying these problems. The image that comes up is, well, we are in dire straits. So it is proposed that we should be starting to use a new water hydrogen cycle. That is, as our renewable energy resources and our production energy capacities increase, we can indeed produce some more water by desalination plants. On the same time, we are moving into a hydrogen economy, hydrogen moving vehicles, and so on and so on. So all this hydrogen being produced again from the increase in our resources of energy is going to be used in transportation and possibly producing second-generation water there by fuel cells and so on and so on. So yes, we have a new artificial hydrogen water cycle there. Another linear approach is the ones to use our renewable electricity resources as they also increase, solar panels, offshore wind turbines, and so on, to produce, of course, hydrogen by electrolysis. The hydrogen is going to be forwarded to chemical manufacturing, shipping, and aviation. And these 3 factors, and of course, to automotive, will be also providing for us fresh water for use in all other sectors. This is the linear approach. We should increase as much as we can our energy capacity production to a maximum. This is, we have to maximize renewables as we can. We have to increase and intensify our efforts to make fusion very, very effective in the future. We have to use, of course, the new technologies, smart grids. We have to decrease energy losses in the grid, and all this transportation, urban, housing, and energy storage in hydraulic plants, if possible, is going to help us contemplate the energy demands of the future. Of course, by the same time, CO2 and less greenhouse gases are going to be produced, and we will see how this will help us in the future. The key factor here is fusion. We are said that it is very near, we are very near in making it effective. Let us really, really hope this will be the key to our future. And all other resources are going to help us make a greener future for mankind. Now, as far as we go into green production, already multi-story buildings are going to, let's say, make a sustainable future for making and producing vegetables, also farming and water farming and all these solutions. But yes, we are going to need this type of production in the near future to make more chlorophyll for our health and more vitamins, of course, for our kids and ourselves. Protein, this is a big issue. As we saw, our livestock and poultry are already at maxima. So it is already been proposed we should be starting using insects and worms in order to produce enough protein for our future. And the EU and US have already been approving buffalo worms proteins, either in pure form, let's say, or in flour, ground that is, and dried, for protein, for making milkshakes and all this nice stuff. And this type of crop can provide us direct protein to add in our food processing, or it can also provide fertilizer for crop production in an indirect cycle. This is already a 1.3 billion ton per year business, and it's going to be enhanced in the near future. We must say that insects and worms can be providing more than 70% of their weight in protein. So they're a very, very effective type of food for the future. Ocean cropping is another, and floating farms are already a solution that has been traditional to the peoples of the Pacific and the Chinese coast for thousands of years. They have many traditional methods for fish culture, for algae culture, for scallops culture. We can intensify this by building marine farms out in the ocean, floating farms, and using or enhancing, of course, with modern media and modern technologies, all this area the oceans can provide for us and observe there the future of mankind. Algae production, of course, belongs to the same category. I just put it there because it is not protein production, it's algae production is another thing. But yes, there are also ancient people in the Pacific that grow algae and use them further for food. So we have to look at this very, very intensively. And finally, what if everything goes wrong? We cannot do more things than that. Harvard people say, go into geoengineering, go into making in the near space huge sails like space sails and special kind of mirrors to prevent the sunlight for hitting directly Earth and hitting it in the rhythm as we speak, enhance the ability of the oceans to absorb CO2 and make it convert it into oxygen, that is use iron as fertilizer in the Earth's ocean, and thus increase the phytoplankton populations, which are also useful in the marine food chain, and provide mankind with some fresh oxygen whilst we will absorb more CO2. And it is anticipated that we can increase this rhythm while the oceans nowadays absorb more than 25% of CO2, converting it into oxygen. And another technology, of course, is more industrial. It's direct carbon capturing from the atmosphere or the industrial gases and storing it underground for further industrial purposes. Of course, this is a solution which has been tested, but we have to see what will happen in it. They also proposed to throw aerosols into the air and make the clouds brighter, so they will reflect more sunshine and less energy of the sun, less radiation will hit the earth then. Now, all these are the geoengineering technologies. Some now closing remarks. There is no unique or magic solutions visible, at least for now, to solve this four-fold problem. It is a multi-science approach in every case. It is required a worldwide sensitization. Some developing countries and developing superpowers do not yet want to accept these new regulations or new approaches because they invest heavily on gases and so on and dirty energy. To my opinion, these are such critical matters of our very near future that there is no way out of reaching 2100, so that is the end of the century, without solving these issues, or we risk a civilization collapse or huge areas of the earth battling to each other for resources. I am giving you my best thanks for this, for being here today with Hayao Miyazaki. He's the latest big cartoonist of mankind in life, and he is a very, very bright man of ecology and always trying to pass these messages to young children through his beautiful movies and cartoons. Thank you very much. Athens calls Athens.